Yeah, things were going great, and we had a nice house in a great neighborhood. Our kids were doing well in school. We were like that house that everybody came over to, had sleepovers. We had a trailer, we went camping, we were always going to the dunes, and things were fantastic. And then I feel like at some point, this is where I believe the devil came in and took over, and slowly and surely, things just started falling apart. Financially, we started having a lot of issues. My drinking became a serious problem. I started losing control of my drinking.
I was hiding finances and money and trying to make it look like we weren't as bad shape as we were, and that led to one lie to another.
Eventually, I ended up becoming suicidal. I pretty much quit my job, or I probably would have been fired. I don't know. I had a great boss, and we just parted ways. And I got into treatment for the first time, which went pretty well. However, I just was broken, and I think our marriage at that point was very broken, and we just eventually we split up and were separated for, I'd say, a good year. At that time, I feel like I went through what I had to go through. It was like a trials and tribulations. I was in a war with God. I thought that I was mad at God. I didn't think that he loved me. I thought, if he's gonna have me go through all of this and lose my family and cause such horrible pain, how could he be a good God if he was doing this to me? And I literally had a war with him. I yelled at him and screamed at him. And but I kept going back to church, and that's where I found Hope Point. I gotta thank my friend Christy for she always invited me, and I always felt welcome. And as soon as I walked through those doors, that's where I felt God's presence. And I realized that he's still good. There's still good in him. And I ended up doing inpatient treatment, and that's where I really got my connection back with God fully. I just was able to give my whole heart back to him and know he was really there. Like I could feel him right now. And with that came Shawn came back into my life.
Yeah, I mean, for 6 months we couldn't even talk or be in the same room. And then it was, she had the kids one weekend, and then I picked them up, and then it was that following week, Tyler and Mackenzie were trying to call and couldn't get a hold of her, and then eventually she picked up, and she was just crying and says, I need help.
I relapsed.
And so I came over, and she was just like, I need help. And so I had taken her up to the hospital. It was like I had to go to work, so I dropped her off, or I was going to drop her off and then run to work, and then I'd meet her there. And so I went to work, and then we went back to the emergency room. We sat there and waited, and we couldn't get in. And finally, she's like, well, let's just go home. So we went back to her house, and then I went home that night. And then the next day was Sunday. She called me in the morning and said, well, do you want to go to church with me? And so I don't remember if we brought the kids. I think the kids came. And, I wasn't that big in a church in my life, but when I walked through the doors, it was just like that service was something I've never felt before, and it's a very, very good feeling.
Yeah, I think we went to the front of the church that morning. Was that when we got the prayers?
No, I think that
next time.
No, that was a couple.
But you see, he wanted to keep coming back. Like he felt what I felt, and that to me was very, I don't know what word I want to say, but I knew it had to be a God thing, because what else would it be? I mean, I couldn't even be in the same room as this guy anymore, and it was just the most amazing feeling that I think you didn't even know it was happening, and I didn't know it was happening. I remember I remember Christy and Robert were like, what's happening? Are you guys back together? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's happening right now. And it was actually really, I don't know, I get chills thinking about it now.
I mean, as far as any part of our 14-year marriage, as far as I think the trust is 100%.
Yeah.
Before it seemed like we always had, for me, I was worried about if she went to the gym, was she really going to the gym? Or when she's at work, is she really at work? I don't
Constant worrying, and now there's no worrying anymore.
I mean,
I live my life totally different now. I used to live in fear. I don't live in fear anymore. I live in it's like a free feeling. And I always tell them, like, hey, I live for God. I know it sounds really like cheesy, but if, as long as he's part of our life, I feel like, if you want to go with me, great. If not, no, I'm just kidding. I still love you, but no, I just, no, in reality though, it's just, we honestly, like, honesty has to be part of our relationship, and that's, we weren't living that before, and now we are.
To me, like, I think I told her before, it's like a weight lifted off my shoulder.
Yeah.
It's still tough, but
but I think every marriage, it's a work in progress, and there's no perfect marriage out there, and if you think you have one, then, well, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway.